So now, what is the phrase itself? In your secondary school, you were told that a phrase, all right, a phrase, I'm going to make a roll call at some point in time. I'll call you one after the other, and I will expect a response. If you don't respond, then I will assume that you are not here in class. Now, so a phrase would normally be defined as a group of words without a finite verb. That's your secondary school definition. But that definition does not hold now. That definition has changed. All right. Now, what is a phrase based on the level of what we are? A phrase is a word or a group of words without a subject and predicate of its own. What is more important is subject, which I'm going to put in blue, predicate, which I'll also put in blue, then and, which I'll put in red. Now, the key word there is and. In other words, you could have a word or a group of words that is the subject. You could have a word or a group of words that is the predicate or the predicator. But once you don't have a subject and predicate together, then that is a phrase. That's what we are saying. Once you don't have the subject, once you don't have the predicate together, then that's a phrase. So, if you look at this, when you have sweep the floor, that's a verb phrase. It's a verb phrase. Remember, the definition that you were given before is that a phrase is a word or group of words without a finite verb. But I could also say swept the floor. It is still a verb phrase. I could also say swept the floor. It is still a verb phrase. All right? And it is very much correct as a phrase. So, but this has a finite tense. It's indicating something that has happened in the past. And it is still a phrase. So that definition might not be completely correct. Your definition should be something that says it doesn't have a subject and its own predicate. Now, what are the components of a phrase? A phrase normally have what we refer to as the head, which is always obligatory. All right? A phrase would have what we refer to as its modifier. Let me start with the qualifier. That's what we refer to as the qualifier. And it always comes before the head. The phrase also have what we refer to as its modifier. And it always comes after the head. Comes after the head. So, in other words, the structure of a phrase is always M in brackets, not compulsory, that's what it means, optional. Then H, compulsory, then Q, optional. Now that's the structure of what? Of a phrase. MHQ. So the modifier of optional, the head, compulsory, then the qualifier is not compulsory. So if you have something like boy, then you begin to have things like the tall boy, then you have things like the tall, dark boy, then you have things like the rich, tall, if you have dark before tall, you rich, dark, tall boy. All right. And that applies here too. So that comes before. Then you can go further to saying something like the rich, dark, tall, young boy. And you can keep going on like that. Now, if you look at this, all of these are what? Are optional. All of these are optional. Where is it now? They are optional. They are not as compulsory or important as what? Boy. What gives this particular phrase its full meaning is boy. Not rich, not dark, not tall, but what? Boy. In other words, all of these are what? Qualifiers. They come before the head. Now, boy is the what? Is the head, which is the important part of that noun phrase. So normally a phrase gets its name from its head. If the head of what you are saying is a verb, then you call that a verb.
I have a question.
If the head of what you are saying is, what do you call it
Sir,
now?
I have a question, sir.
You wait until I
Can I
give
go
you the floor. Wait until I give you the floor to talk.
Sir, before you go far.
Wait till I give you the floor, or I will kick you out of the class. When I'm talking, you keep quiet. Now, so when you have a preposition, for example, in the class, the head of this is not class. It is not the. It is in. All right. So you pick in as the head, and you say that's the what is the prepositional phrase. If you have what was it called now? If you have very tall. Now, when you have very tall, one is more important. Tall is more important than very, because very is just it's modifying what? Tall. So you call this what? The head. So you look for what is actually the head, what carries the meaning. Now, for example, in this prepositional phrase, we say that in is the what? The head. However, within this in the class, we still have a noun phrase. Then you can say class is the head of the class. All right. But in, you are trying to say where Bola is in the class. Bola is not out of the class, but what? In the class. All right. So the point that I'm trying to make at this point is that the head of a phrase is what gives it its name. If you are trying to identify what the grammatical name of a phrase is and what the grammatical name for now of a phrase is, look at the head. Once you get the head, you can easily say that this is what this is. All right. So at this point, let me take the question of whoever wanted to ask question before. Who was that wanted to ask question?
I'm the one, sir.
What's the name of the question?
You said a qualifier comes before the head.
The name of the person. That's the first thing you should respond to.
Adeshetan Islamiat.
Go ahead with your question.
You said a qualifier comes before the head, and a modifier comes after the head.
All right.
But in the formula and the structure you gave, the modifier is coming before the head.
Yeah, you are correct. So you are correct. I'm going to explain it to you. Normally, modifiers, let me put it for you this way. When you write qualifiers, all right, we call them what? Pre-modifiers. When you write modifiers, we call them post modifiers. In other words, both modifiers and qualifiers are the same. All right? But once you have something that pre-modify, we call it a qualifier. All right? So that's the logic behind it. So qualifiers are also pre-modifiers. They are pre-modifiers. In other words, anytime we have an adjective, it is qualifying. And that is why when you are dealing with adverbs, we say that they modify. We don't say that they qualify. Why? Because they always come after, for example, the verb. It's possible that they occur before, they can come at the beginning of a sentence too. But normally we say that they are modifying maybe a sentence or a construction or a verb or whatever it is they are modifying. All right. So we call them modifiers. In most cases, they come after, all right? But qualifiers are always, in most cases, before the head that they modify. So we just call them qualifiers. These are just nomenclatures to address the concept. So whether it's a qualifier or modifier, they are doing the same thing. They are giving us more information about the head, all right? So, but this is the structure of the phrase. The modifier, the head, and the qualifier. Now, when you have modifier here, in this phrase that we have modifier, we see them as pre-modifiers, and these are qualifiers. So, and what could function as that? Things that could function as modifiers in this case, right, will be things like so look at this now. The modifier is also called pre-modifier and so on. The qualifier is also called post-modifier. So those are just nomenclatures. Now I wanted to tell you the call it the entity of things that could be modifiers and so on. So pre-modifiers, which we have referred to as qualifiers there, I have a number of things to say on that. Now, pre-modifiers will be things like adjectives, which qualifies a noun, right? Then, what was it called now? We also have specifiers, and specifiers could be things like determiners, articles, that's definite or indefinite article. We also have what do you call them now? Like numerals, things like one cup, 2 cups, like that. We have things like many, many men were here yesterday. So those are examples of specifiers. All of these are what? Examples of specifiers. All right. Now, all of these, they are pre-modifiers. They are pre-modifiers. They come before the head. Then we have post-modifiers. Post-modifiers will be things like prepositional phrases. Post-modifiers will be things like prepositional phrases, which we are going to get to. Prepositional phrases are largely post-modifiers, and sometimes you could have sometimes you could have adjectives, but when you have adjectives in that form, if we have been attending classes before now, we've talked about different types of adjective, attributive adjective and predicative adjectives. But when you have predicative adjectives, they occur after the verb, all right? But we can't really call that post-modifiers. Now, so let's move on. So the test of what you are doing now is that when they ask you this, maybe in your exam, now what is the phrase structure? The phrase structure is MHQ. They can ask you again that a modifier is called what? They can say it's pre-modifier. Fine, that's very correct. A qualifier is called, they can say it's post-modifier. It can go both ways in whatever form. But what qualifiers do is that they qualify things at the they qualify things before. That's what they do. That's why you say an adjective. So if you have something like the tall boy, what's the function of an adjective? It qualifies the word boy. You won't say it modifies the word boy. That's the way we say it. And that's the logic that I'm using to explain that to you. So now I'm moving from that point to the fact that we've talked about what a phrase is. Now, at this point, I want to take another attendance, and I'm going to call names now. I'm going to call names now. So let me put this by my side. Now, Ajedo Kundokas. Ajedo Kundokas. I won't call you more than twice. Ajedo Kundokas. Absent. Okay. Ahmed Okwemipo. Ahmed Okwemipo. Okay. Absent. Who wrote his name as his or her name as OA? I gave you the instruction that your name should be properly written. Who is OA?
The person is not there.
Adeshetan.
I'm present, sir.
All right, thank you. Adeshetan present. Akanni Opeyemi. Akanni Opeyemi.
I'm present, sir.
Abdulkarim. Can you mute yourself, Akanni Opeyemi? Abdulkarim Sumaya.
Present, sir.
Who is talking? Abdulkarim Sumaya. Okay. All right. Your department is what? Edu or medicine?
Educational management, sir.
All right. The next person. Adewolu Rachel. Oluwadarasimi.
Present, sir.
Okay, thank you. Adekunle
Present, sir.
Adedamola. Adekunle Adedamola. Mosope. Adekunle Adedamola Mosope. Adekunle Adedamola Mosope. All right, absent. I'm still going to Emmanuel Adeosun.
Present, sir. Present, sir.
All right.
Present, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you mute yourself? Ifeoluwa Adelaja.
Yes, sir.
All right, mute yourself. Adekunle Ayobami.
Present, sir.
Okay, mute yourself. Abodurin Okiki Jesu.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Joseph Adebowale. Joseph Adebowale. All right, absent. Abdulrahim Adegbite. Abdulrahim Adegbite, absent. Abdulrahim Faika Muturayo.
Present, sir.
Down, down.
You called me before.
So where were you before?
No, my microphone was not working. I had to enable it now.
All right, no problem. Mute yourself. I've called Emmanuel Adeosun. He's not in class. Adeshola Kadijat.
Sir, Joseph Adebowale is present, sir. My mic
Sir,
was
I'm in
on.
class, sir.
You are not in class. Since your mic was not on, Joseph.
I just set it now, sir. My mic was not on. Sir, I just set it now.
Oh, no worry. Who is that? Hey, can you mute yourself? Joseph Adebowale or whatever it is. Adeshola Kadijat. Absent. Akibu Rokibat.
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
You know what? So that I won't waste time. Everyone currently in class, indicate you are in class by showing a reaction. I want to see a thumbs up. Indicate you are in class by showing your reaction. I will take the attendance from there.
Reaction.
Only 3 people have done a thumbs up on the group. So the rest of you were just coming and going. Is that what it means?
Yeah.
You have 1 more minute to do that because I won't spend all the time here taking attendance. I said everyone in class should show a reaction by putting a thumbs up. All right. Okay, that's good. So once it's anyone that is doing that after 3:50, I'm considering that the person actually wasn't here. Because you can't tell me that this one is network issue. All right, so let's continue with the class now. So the next thing I'm moving on to is to look at the noun phrase. What is a noun and what are the properties of the noun phrase? Now, a noun phrase has a noun at its head. What's the head of a noun phrase? It's always a noun. So you have to take note of it. What's the head of a noun phrase? Always a noun. So now it's modifier, which actually they are qualifiers, all right? They are the articles, the pre-modifiers, all right? The one that comes before, all right, are the what? Articles. I think I've done that before. The articles, the adjectives, and demonstratives. Then the qualifiers, that is the post modifier in this case, all right, they are the prepositional phrases and relative or adjectival clauses. And I'm going to provide 1 or 2 examples of that. So when you have a noun phrase that has a prepositional phrase as its post modifier, so when you have something like John in red shoes is my friend. Now, who can tell me which part of what I've written make up the noun phrase? Which part of what I've written make up the noun phrase? Can anyone tell me? I can't hear that too.
John in red shoes.
Okay, that's a noun phrase, which is correct. Then, my friend is also a noun phrase. Just that my friend is performing a different function from John in red shoes. Now, if you look at it, look at this. I want you to see certain things. In red shoes here, is a pre-modifier, is a prepositional phrase. It functions as an adverb. It's performing a secondary function. Now compare John in red shoes with, okay, let me put it, John in red shoes of the Adekunle. Okay, let me use this. Let me use this other one. Let's use this. The teacher of syntax in red shoes. Then the teacher in red shoes of syntax. Now, if you look at this, which one looks more meaningful? Can anyone tell me the one that looks more meaningful? Out of the two last,
The first one.
The first one, sir.
The first one looks more meaningful. Why is it so? Both of them are prepositional phrases, but one is more acceptable than the other. So you can't say the teacher in red shoes of syntax, but you can say the teacher of syntax in red shoes. So what it means is that despite the fact that both of these are prepositional phrases, all right, they are both prepositional phrases, one is a complement, whereas another is providing an adjunct information. The teacher of syntax is always going to be someone that teaches syntax. If he's a teacher of syntax, that's what he does every time. But that will not always be in red shoes. It can be in black shoe tomorrow. It can be in blue, whatever. But if he teaches syntax, that's what he has been teaching. That's what he will keep teaching. So what it means is that of syntax is a complement. It complements teacher. Whereas in red shoe is an adjunct. It's performing a secondary function. So these are some of the structures for the noun phrase. All right. So take note of all of those details. Take note of some of those details, and we'll see what we can do about this. Now, the next thing to talk about are the functions of the noun phrase. The functions of the noun phrase. So the noun phrase, right, performs different functions. It can function as the subject of a verb. So when you have something like the serious man has arrived. Now the serious man there, is a noun phrase. And what is the function? Sorry, I didn't put the serious man. What's the function? It functions as the subject. Now, what are subjects? Subjects, I've told you before in verb, when we were looking at verbs, that verbs do not only perform actions, they also indicate state. So, the serious man here is not actually performing any action, but it is the person we are talking about. So, the subject can be someone that performs an action, something that performs an action, or what we are talking about. In other words, the theme of discourse, what you are talking about. So the serious man has arrived is it has the serious man as the subject of the verb. If you have something like the man or Tunde killed a goat there is a noun phrase, but it is not performing the function of what? Of the subject of a verb. But Tunde is what? A noun phrase that is performing what? This function of subject of a verb. Take note that Tunde is just one word. Despite the fact that Tunde is just one word, it is performing, it is a noun phrase. So remember, the definition of a noun phrase is that it could be a word or a group of words. Now, apart from that, another function of a noun phrase, I won't talk about some of these too much until I move on to maybe appositive and the like. But if you have questions, please just, I'm on full page, so I might not be able to see questions. If you have questions, just indicate and just tell me you have a question. Unmute yourself and tell me you have a question. Then I will give you the floor. Not that you go ahead to ask your questions until I ask you to do so. So now you could also have object of a verb. I'm still going to take an attendance at some point. You are still going to put your reaction at some point. So it could function as the object of a verb. So when you have Peju met, let's use this this example. Tunde killed a goat. A goat here is a noun phrase. It functions as object of, what is the object of a verb? An object of a verb refers to what bears the action in a sentence. What bears the action? That's the object of a verb. So, for example, something was killed. What was killed? A goat. If you say Sarah swept the floor. I'm shaking it, right? The floor was what was swept, and that's the what? The object. All right. So you have to take note of all of those details. Who is that disturbing this class? Who is that disturbing this class? All right, so now you could also have a noun function as a positive element to another nominal entity. So a noun can function as an appositive element, and this one is interesting, right? So appositive to another nominal entity. All right, so when you have something like, okay, I've jumped one, but I'm still going to come back to it. If you have something like Mr. John the Vice Chancellor, don't let this question, Mr. John the Vice Chairman is running for the governorship position. right. So Mr. John is the same person as who? The vice chairman. The vice chairman is the same person as who? Mr. John. Sometimes we don't bother putting a comma in between them. All right. So Mr. John is the same person as the vice chairman here, and the vice chairman is the same person as what? Mr. John. So the vice chairman is an appositive element to Mr. John because he's referring back to Mr. John. So take note of that. My daughter, the writer of an award-winning novel, is in America. So my daughter is the same person as the writer of an award-winning novel. All right. Now, you could also have what we refer to as subject complement. Subject complement is always joined together by what we refer to as copular verbs. Remember, in the last class we had, for those that were there, I said that a copular verb is more like a verb that functions as a lexical verb. A lexical verb is a verb that functions alone or can function alone, can stand alone. So when you have Ade is our leader, our leader refers back to Ade. Our leader refers back to Ade. So our leader is a subject complement. It's completing who Ade is. It's telling us more about Ade. So it's a subject complement. So because Ade is a subject, so it refers to our leader. Now this is a copular verb because it's functioning alone as though it were a main verb. All right. So in this case, it's not an auxiliary verb, it's a copular verb. So Ade is our leader. When you have something like Tinola, you could say, my father is the winner. My father is the winner. The winner refers back to who? My father. So take note of that. Now, complement of an object. It's just like a noun phrase function as subject complement. It can also function as complement of an object. So let's look at it. Complement of an object. We made Bolu our leader. Now, Bolu is the object here because that's the person you are making. Bolu is the object. Now, what did you make Bolu? You made Bolu our leader. So, we is the subject, Bolu is the object, our leader is complementing Bolu. So, it's object complement, rather. Object complement. When you have something like the board elected John, their representative. The board is the subject. Elected is the predicator. John is the what? The object. Their representative is the object complement. The board elected John. Their representative. So take note of that. Now, then the final thing that a noun phrase could do is that it could also function as complement of a preposition. And I'm going to use this word to explain it. I'm coming. Give me a minute. I'm quickly doing something. All right, so I think that is done. All right, so let's come back. Sorry, I was not distracted to do some, and that is now. Now, if you have this to go and to Lagos. Now, both of these two, they can have different types of words that follow them. In one of the two, you could have a verb to go, to come, to dance, to sing, and so on. In the other two, you could have a noun. Now, what does this mean? Sorry. Now, what this means is that all right, is that to can be infinitive or to can be a preposition. If it's a preposition, what will follow a preposition is always, please take note of it. Anytime you have a preposition, the phrase that follows it, the rate that follows it is going to be what? The rate that follows it is going to be, the phrase that follows it rather is going to be a noun phrase. So you have to Lagos, you have to Ibadan, you have to him, you have to, on Saturday. Let's look at some other prepositions. In the car, at the venue. So you see words like the venue, words like the car, and so on, they go with what? They go with a preposition. So preposition nouns can also function as complement, or noun phrase can also function as complement of a preposition. It is very, very important. Take note of that. So all right, now let's look at this. The verb phrase. So do you have any questions on noun phrase so far? Does anyone have any questions on the noun phrase? Any questions on the noun phrase? All right, so let's move on to verb phrase. Now, there are not too much things to talk about on the verb phrase. Normally, a verb phrase is going to have a lexical verb as its head. Then it's going to have auxiliary verbs, whether it is modal auxiliary, whether it is primary auxiliary, whether it is do verbs, whether it's have verb, and so on as the helping verb. So a verb phrase would have a lexical verb as its head. Then it's going to have, it might have some other helping verbs as the auxiliary. So that's basically what you have for a verb phrase. So the head of a verb phrase is the lexical verb, which is always one. You can't have two lexical verbs in a sentence. Lexical verb, and it can only be one in a simple sentence. All right, now then it could have modifiers. Now the modifiers could be auxiliary verbs, different types of auxiliary verbs. So at this point, it might be more than one auxiliary verb that you have. So now, so examples of that: the man has been helping us. The man has been helping us. Helping us is now what helping up is going to be what? Can anyone tell me? I want this class to be interactive. Can anyone tell me what helping rather? What's helping there?
It's just a verb.
Is it an auxiliary verb, or is it an auxiliary verb or the lexical verb, and so on?
Lexical verbs.
That's good. That's good. Now, what is the function of the verb phrase in a sentence? A verb phrase, normally the main part of the verb, performs the function of what we refer to as the predicator. A verb phrase is always a predicator. Is always a predicator. And I've differentiated between a predicate and a predicator in our previous classes. So I'm just going to use this word: Ade killed a goat again. Now, Killed is what? The verb there. And that's the predicator. Kill the goat. All of this is what we refer to as what? The predicate. All right? Everything apart from the subject will give us the predicate. The verb itself or the verb phrase will give us what we refer to as what? The predicator. Okay. Now, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is gerundive phrase. And I think that's where I'm going to stop today. We still have we are still going to meet on Thursday. I hope when we next meet, we can finish all of the phrases. Then next week we can talk about clauses. Then we'll talk about sentence before your test. So I think we're on track. Now, the gerundive phrase. Now, gerundive phrase has gerund as its head. Gerundive phrase has what? Gerund as its head. And what are gerunds? Gerunds are normally verbs that end in what? ing. So when you have a verb like swim and you add what? ing to it, becomes what? Swimming. Now when you have swimming is my hobby. Now this is a gerund. Swimming is a gerund. Normally gerunds are verbs that end ing that are used as a subject. So swimming, not just as a subject, that are used as a noun. So look at it now. Swimming is my hobby. So you have changed this word, which should be a continuous, a verb indicating continuous tense, as a nominal entity. So now, sometimes you don't just say swimming, you can add some other things to it. You don't just say swimming, you can say swimming in the lake. Swimming in the lake is my hobby. So all of these will be what? The gerundive phrase. All of these will be the what? The gerundive phrase. You can say from the word dance, right? You can add ing to it, dance. So you have ing. So it becomes what? Dancing, right? You can say dancing to music is not easy. Now, what is the gerundive phrase? Dancing to music. That will be the gerundive phrase. Now, in this case, this gerundive phrase is functioning as what? The subject of a sentence. It's functioning as the subject of a sentence. So a gerundive phrase can function as the subject of a sentence. Other examples that I have here in our GS textbook: trading in shoes has stopped for now. Representing these people in court will be difficult. Representing, so normally gerundive phrases are going to start with gerunds, and a gerundive phrase can also function as object of a sentence. A gerundive phrase can also function as object of a sentence. Sorry, object of a verb. Object of a verb. Now look at it. The man enjoys wooing teenagers. The man enjoys wooing teenagers. Now, the man enjoys, enjoy there is the verb, wooing there is the what? Wooing there is the what's it called now? Is the gerund. But wooing teenagers together will give us the gerundive phrase. Now we detest roaming the street. Roaming, we is the subject. Detest is the what? The verb, the predicator. Then roaming the street. Roaming is the gerund together with the street. That gives you the gerundive phrase. Right? Now, aside from that, a gerundive phrase can also function as an appositive element to a nominal entity. Can function as an appositive element to a nominal entity. Now, what does that mean? It could refer back to a nominal entity. That is, they are saying the same thing. Look at this. Our weakness, dating foreign men, is what we are discussing. What is our weakness? Dating foreign men. What is dating foreign men? Our weakness. Our strength, making others feel important. Our strength, making others feel important, endears people to us. Our strength, making others feel important, endears people to us. So, that's another one. The next one. Sorry. What he enjoys most, singing to God, relieves him. What he enjoys most. And what does he enjoy most? Singing to God. So those are positive elements that we have in that case. Now, before I stop here, I'm going to take another attendance. So at this point again, the time is 4:26. If you are in class, 4:26, I will leave it to 4:28. If you are in class, put a reaction. All right, so okay, so I'll work on that. Now I'm going to stop here for today. We'll meet again on Thursday in the at night to by 7:30. We'll complete the remaining part of the phrase, and I will keep taking attendance online. All right. So let's hope that the strike will be off soon. If not, we have already done this part. So enjoy yourself. I will send the video of this class to this group eventually. So I'm going to end the meeting now. Is there anyone with any question before I end up this class?
Sir,
Is there any question?
I'm not permitted to react. I don't know why.
That's not a question, no.
No, I'm just trying to tell you.
The person that asked the question, Mungbo.
Yes, sir. When you are explaining verb phrase in the example that you gave, you said the man has been helping, and you only talk about the helping. I think the verb phrase there should be has been helping.
Low battery. Please charge.
You were not listening. You were not listening in class. You were not listening in class. If you are listening, you won't ask the question you are asking. We said we are looking at the edge of the phrase. And we said helping is the what? The edge. I still ask people to tell me what helping is. So for class, to back by Yoruba. So make sure you are listening well in class. Part of what I said when we're looking at the verb phrase, all right, was to indicate the lexical verb, which is the head, then the modifiers, and I said there are different types of that. Okay, so when you have something like the man has been helping is the edge of that phrase. Every other thing before the head, which is the norm for verb phrase in English, the head is always the last
Low battery.
for the verb
Please
phrase.
charge.
Every other thing before that will be an auxiliary that is helping that verb. So I believe that should clarify that information for you. Do we have any other questions?
Sir, the person that is talking about the reaction of the thing. The thing is that the person is unable to do it, and you know the attendance will count. That's why the person is telling you, so that you can tell the person what to do.
There is nothing I can tell the person to do.
And the person just drop my matric number instead.
Okay. I will look at that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
We
sir.
work. All right. Any other question, please?
Low battery. Please charge.
Do we have questions? Okay. So in the absence of none, we'll meet on Thursday.